Hi, it's Rachel. My website is rhmaldonado.com. Belief in the human spirit and desire to connect is the reason that I want to tell your story and mine. And I am with John Ozuna, a martial artist. How are things?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much, Rachel, for having me on. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I am very interested in martial arts. Not myself, like I can't do anything, but I am interested because it's very niche. And, what do you do?
This year I am celebrating my 40th year in martial arts. So I'm an old guy in martial arts. That's basically what that means. I started my martial arts journey. I want to say, everybody is inspired in one way or the other. And for me, at my age, I was like 6 or 7 years old when I saw Bruce Lee for the very first time. And I remember very specifically that, my parents took my brother and I to drive-in theater, and we had just finished watching like a Clint Eastwood movie, like a spaghetti Western, and we're leaving, and my brother and I are in the back seats, and I'm looking out of the window of the back seat, and you could see all the other screens and all the other movies that are playing. And then I saw this guy that he's flying through the air. He's doing all these boom, amazing, complicated fight movements. Boom, and I'm going, whoa, who's that? What is that? And I begged my parents, please let me see that movie. And it was one of Bruce Lee's first movies that was released in the United States, 1971. That was a long time ago. And that was it. That was the seed that was planted that changed my life completely. Because by then, I was just thirsting for wanting to do that. I was able to imprint myself in that person and say, that's who I want to be, both in movement and in all other aspects. So yeah, I started training. I think originally when I was about 6 or 7, I did judo for a little bit. And then afterwards, when I was about 14, I took what I teach is called Bakufudo, which is a white tiger system of Chinese martial arts. And it was my teacher's system of martial arts, which is Grandmaster Richard Lee.
Ooh, so can you explain Grandmaster? What is that?
So, just in so many institutions, there's a grading and a level of achievements at each rank. And I think people always associate martial arts with somebody who's proficient is being a black belt. So black belt is one of the highest ranks of martial arts. But then from there, after you achieve a black belt, there are many levels that will get you to the next rank, which would be a master level. And I have a master rank in martial arts. So my students call me Master Ozuna. And Rachel, you don't have to do that.
I had a white belt because decades ago, I took a PE community college class. So I bought my white belt from the bookstore for this karate PE class. So I also had a belt, and then I looked it up and I realized white belt, it literally said means no progress.
That's the beginning. We all start there. So
no progress. That's what the white belt, especially when you can buy your own white belt at the bookstore. But yeah, so master is very elite. And then, the community martial arts, what else have you been able to do or learn in that field?
It's martial arts in general really teaches you a lot about yourself. It's a journey of self-reflection. It's a journey where what happens is you find out things that you do well, but what's painfully revealed are things that you don't do well. Things that, and please pardon me expressing this, are things that you kind of suck at. So, so you go through this process, and what happens is you build a balance or a symmetry. So you really focus on things that you don't do well, so that you eventually create this balance of you know, what they call in terms of martial arts, kind of mind, body, spirit. So you're working the knowledge of the information. You're strengthening the body with all your movements. These are your tools, but it's your spirit that drives everything that you do. It's the desire, the want, the need that we have in everything that we do. I mean, we always, in everything that we pursue, there's a want. I want this from that. And martial arts does the same. And you go through this process. And first, you know, you go through the process of achieving that next rank and you know, and the next belt. But then you go through the process of competing. And I've competed all my life. So I was heavily into the full contact fighting circuit, and which is like kickboxing. And I competed regionally out of California because I'm based in California. I've competed nationally all over the United States. Internationally, I've competed all over Europe. I've competed all over Asia on the world class circuit. I was on the USA team that was competing in the World Championships in Taipei, Taiwan, in 1992. So you're going up against the best martial artists in the world, and you're part of a team that's comprised of the best. And it's very similar to the Olympics in a lot of ways, because Chinese martial arts is not in the Olympics. So this is the next best thing, where this particular tournament happens every 3 years. Each country does their national qualifier to help form their national team that eventually goes and competes in the World Championships. So I've had the great privilege and opportunity to be on the USA team doing that.
And, you know, I know you have a couple of Guinness World Records too. Can you tell me about those?
So, yeah, I hold 2 Guinness World Records. And one is for the most punches delivered in 1 minute. And it's 713. And it's just rapid fire. It's just rapid fire punches. And the other one is for the fastest punch in the world. So to give you an idea of a reference, Floyd Mayweather Jr., a professional boxer, infamous professional boxer, is one of the fastest punchers in the world. And he's been clocked, and it doesn't sound fast, but he's been clocked at about 26.5 miles per hour. I was able to do a punch that was 43.3 miles per hour. So I almost went towards, getting close to doubling that. So, for me, there were 2 things. It was so unique. The only reason I did it was to bring attention to a child safety program that we were promoting. We were really giving back to the community. We were teaching children how to be safe. There had been a lot of kidnappings, human trafficking in our area. So we were trying to really address that, teaching children how to identify a dangerous situation, teaching children how to identify a stranger, what to do, verbally what to do, and what to physically do. So it was just a program that really helped that community. And I was thinking, what do I do to bring attention? And my daughter was actually the one who said, she goes, Dad, why don't you break some world records or something? And so I said, okay, sure, I'll give it a try.
So she's just like, Dad, just break some world records. And it's like, okay, and you break some world records.
Yeah. And there was so much education. So, it's a humbling experience, because you don't just go and do it. You have to train. You figure out what you want to do. You train towards it. But what it took to quantify it, that was the most impressive thing, because I was tested by Stanford University Biomotion Lab, where I was hooked up with electrodes everywhere, and they were measuring, technically, how I do a movement. I had like 100 and some cameras around me just to pick up my every movement to make it more efficient. I was the research to quantify the record mathematically was done by the IBM Research Center, and there were physicists that got together with Guinness World Record scientists and collaborated on the math to make sure that it was, because you can't, for this, you can't just point like a speed gun
Yeah.
and do it. You can't do that. So there's no device that can measure human movement.
Right.
So they had to really quantify it. And the last one, to actually record the record, it took a scientist from NASA to, yeah, crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy stuff. And they took the actual camera that they utilize to record like a shuttle launch and see how it breaks up, and they can measure and study from that. That camera was used to measure the speed of my punch. So for me, it was just mind-boggling. Just they had to do all that just to say, okay, you got a record. All right, good, you did it.
And it's legit. You know, you got Stanford, NASA. Wow. And you did it for a cause.
Yeah.
Save the children. And I'm a mom, I have kids. So I think that that's beautiful. And then your family is part of this story. Your daughter is the one who says, Dad, break some world records.
Let's go ahead and do it. I said, sure, why not?
Wow. Oh, just, yeah, sure, sure. Oh my God. You know, I am very fascinated because people have this impression that martial arts, it's good for building confidence. You know, you hear these stories, you know, maybe there's a child who's bullied or doesn't have confidence, and, you know, a good Samaritan will pay for some karate, and it, you know, changes this kid's life because he builds some confidence. What is your experience that martial arts, it's that mind body experience, and what does this do for you, your confidence, your soul?
You know, it's so unique because there's so many attributes to it. And you know, I'm honored. You know, I have my school. My school is KO Kung Fu School in California, and I've had my school for 31 years. I've had the great privilege of working with some amazing, amazing people. And you know, people take martial arts for different reasons. Like you said, to your point, you know, they might have been bullied at school, or they may have had an experience where they were a victim of a violent crime, or they just want to get in better shape. They want to lose weight or get in good shape. I mean, everybody has their reason for doing it. You know, mine was the inspiration of wanting to be like Bruce Lee down, you know, back in the day. But so you meet these individuals, you know, and I was challenged by somebody, and they really changed my outlook as to who can learn martial arts. There was a young lady, she was a teenager, and she came in with her wheelchair. So she rolled in with a wheelchair into my school, and she comes right to me and she goes, I bet you can't teach me. And, and I was kind of taken back by that because she was aggressive.
Yeah.
And she goes, you're my fourth school I come to, and every other school told me, if you can't walk, we can't teach you martial arts. I was going, wow. I said, I'm sorry that you had that experience, but it would be my honor to work with you. So you had this young lady that had a tremendous will and personality, and she was wheelchair bound, so she couldn't stand on her own. She got to the point where she was able to not only progress through martial arts, strengthen her body, figure out where her balance points are, figure her coordination. She has CPs, which is cerebral palsy. So it's something. It's just a lifelong affliction that she has to deal with every day of her life. And to see her growth, her strength, and her just more of her spirit just really come alive, and be able to do things that she was told that she couldn't do.
Yeah.
So it's taking that, and we work with so many children that have autism, and different ranges of autism, everything from Asperger's to you know, more severe levels of autism. You know, they have a home at my school, and anybody that has desire to learn martial arts, it's there. It's absolutely there, and that's it right there. It's the want. We talked about the want. You know, if somebody wants, then that fuels their passion for it. And they, what other people might see is obstacles, they just plow right through them.
Ooh, wow, that is so fascinating because it's this transcendent that I will do and that I want. So
Hmm.
this is not just a school, martial arts, like I'll build confidence or, all of these kinds of things. This is an embodiment of the human spirit for those who want it.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. I it's been there for me.
Yeah.
It's been there for me in the most challenging of times, in every way. I think people, when they think martial arts, they think, okay, I'm going to learn how to protect myself. I'm
Mm,
going to learn, if somebody does this, I will do that. I'll do this for them. I'll do this to them.
yeah.
And in its most practical sense, yeah, absolutely. You're learning the information. You're given the scenarios of, okay, this is the situation that you're put in. This is what you do. And in my own experience, it's saved my life practically. I've had three instances where people are trying to take my life. And one, just I grew up in a very, very tough neighborhood, and there was a lot of gang activity there, and I was being pulled into that. And I had a guy just pull a knife on me, and he was aiming to kill me, because for him to get into this gang, he had to kill somebody. And guess who he was targeting? He was targeting me. So here's a situation where my life is on the lines, and martial arts was there for me. I'm over in New York, and a guy pulls a gun on me, and he's saying he's going to kill me. So in those instances, where you're in the most vulnerable state, and very seldom do we put ourselves in a position of our mortality is being threatened. Literally becomes a life and death situation. And instinctively, we react, we respond to those things. We talk about fight or flight sort of thing. We do both. We don't do one. We're not. People will lean towards one or the other, but we'll always do both, because both will protect our lives. And so, from the most practical sense, it's been there for me. In the most challenging emotional times of my life, it's been there for me. And so all I can, from my own personal experience, to know that I'm sharing something that has helped me, and I'm sharing that with others, so that the way it can bring out the best version of them, the better. I mean, that's where I love doing what I do. For as long as I've been doing this, I still have the same passion for it. It's never dwindled.
You have had 3 times where someone is trying to kill you, to take your life. And martial arts, this ability that you have to fight for your life, has saved you. And so, since this has happened to you 3 times, and thank God you're okay,
Thank you.
you feel like you are braver, or that you don't have fear? What is that dynamic between your abilities and facing fear?
It's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because there's no person on this planet that's fearless. That does not exist. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We're all humans, and as human animals,
Yeah.
every single one of us has a primal instinct of self-preservation, just like every animal. So not any different than your house pet, where they will sense danger. They will sense, a potential dangerous situation, and they react accordingly. We have those same primal built instincts, and we want to really listen to those. We want to rely on that. We want to listen to those instincts that just sometimes kind of overwhelm us. Um, so when you're in that situation, everybody responds a little bit differently, but you go through the actual natural process, and you're not afraid, you're terrified. There's a difference, because
Ooh.
the degrees of fear, there's levels of fear, but when you're terrified, there's a paralysis that takes place. All of a sudden you feel that your body seizes, and in some ways it protects you because it prevents you from going into shock.
Okay.
But then you respond. Every person on this planet will do something to save their life. They'll do something, even if they don't know martial arts.
Yeah.
They'll do something. As human beings, we instinctively, we bite, we claw, and we kick, straight ahead. As that's what we do. Like kangaroos use their legs and they kick out. Kangaroos like that. I can see that would be your style. Yeah, that'd be your style. You'd be the kangaroo style. Yeah, I can see you. You'd be great.
Okay. All right. We'll get into my style later, but so okay, so I am the kangaroo, the unsexy kangaroo style. What's your style? What's your style?
So
Professional.
so I actually teach two forms of martial arts. One is Bakpudo. So Bakpu is in Chinese martial. It's a white tiger system of martial arts. The other one is Tian Shen Pai. Tian Shen Pai. Pai means the way of. Tian Shen is a province in China. So it's a particular type of martial arts that comes from the province of China. And so those are the two that I teach.
Yeah. Well, but you didn't answer my question. What style of animal are you? If I'm the unsexy kangaroo, what are you?
I'm more like a mad chihuahua kung fu.
Well, you know what, sir? I feel less bad about being a kangaroo than you're a chihuahua.
I'm a chihuahua.
About myself and my white belt from 3 decades ago. I have a question about, since we're talking about styles, you actually do choreography and you're a stuntman on the movie. Tell me about this. That sounds fun.
It's funny because martial arts and the movie industry just kind of seem to be linked together, because in almost every action film has now martial arts incorporated into it. So you see in every style of martial arts, everything from kung fu to taekwondo to jiu-jitsu to, you see it kind of all. And when I was doing well in competition, I received a certain amount of recognition for it. So I was actually approached by a movie production company, and they said, "Hey, like what you do, can you do that in film? Can you show us how to do that? We'd love to go and hire you as our stunt choreographer for it." And it kind of took off from there. And this was a couple decades ago. But yeah, so the majority. Yeah, I'm also an actor, stuntman. And it kind of goes hand in hand. So just almost every film that I'm in, I do all my stunt work. I'll do all my fight scenes. I'll choreograph all the different fight scenes that are seen in that film. It's rough. It's tough. It's for entertainment, but it gives me the opportunity to really express, okay, we can really do this and that. And, and I work with some great guys. I work with some really great people that they can take it. So in other words, you're really hitting these guys. You're really slamming into them. You're really throwing them.
So when you're doing the choreography in the movies, what is that like? Can you tell me about some of those experiences? Because it's very
it ranges, because a lot depends on where you're at. You could be in a, I've done work in a sound stage where the environment's completely controlled, so you have, everything from the temperature to you have safety mats, you know, so when you're taking the falls, you're not going to fall on concrete. So I've done everything from that to being on location where, you know, over here in, you know, in the Northern California area, the Shasta County, Redding area, beautiful, majestic, gorgeous wilderness, but it's rocky and it's inclined and it's, you know, the rocks are jagged, and you're doing scenes on that, and you're cutting yourself and you're scraping yourself, and you know, you come out with more bruises all over your body, no matter how much you protect yourself, just because of the terrain. So it's you know, you get hurt. You do. I want to say every person that I have worked with, you know, they've got their stories of doing these great scenes, but you know, you don't come out of it unscathed. You're hurt. I have a story where I was working with a stunt guy, and again, I'm a small guy. You know, I'm 5'8", probably 175 pounds. So you know, in the stunt world, I'm really a small man. So the guys I work with, these guys are, you know, 6 feet, 6'4", 6'5", you know, 250 pounds of just rock solid muscle. And I remember I was working with a guy, and we're doing this choreography where we're throwing punches at one another, we're ducking, we're moving, we're ducking, and we're, you know, throwing back and blocking and doing this. And the director goes, okay, go as fast as you can. So we're doing this combination that's just, it's so intricate. And I was supposed to do this movement where I'm supposed to throw a punch at the guy, and he's supposed to duck it, and he didn't. So I hit him right in his cheek, right here in his cheekbone. He dropped down, but what you heard snap, and my hand broke. So it was crazy. So you know, these are metacarpals. So I broke this bone in half. And it was gross. It was really gross, because when I finally went to the doctor and they showed me the X-ray technician, he was laughing, and he goes, hey buddy, I got to show you this. Look at your hand. And this part of my hand was detached from my hand. It was oh my God. So
this is really gruesome and terribly sad. But I just have no words.
You're laughing at me. Thank you.
Well, so tell me, you know, you're on these locations and you're doing the choreography, and is it fun for you? You're creative, you can come up with this choreography. And are some people a little slower than others, where they're like, they can't do this choreography because they're not a real martial artist? You know, what is that like?
It's a mixed bag. It's really a mixed bag, because you're working with people with different experience levels, and you're working with people that, you know, wow. I mean, it's like a choreographed dance scene. You know, it's like a couples. They're working together, and there's in such great synchronization, and it's rare to find somebody like that. And then you're working with people that are robotic. I mean, they're really just kind of really tense and robotic. And so you have to kind of work with what you have. And there's certain people that I completely rely on. So whatever film I do, I'll almost call the same guys again and again. Say, hey guys, guess what? I have another opportunity for you. You know, can you guys go ahead and be my you know, stunt team for this? And they jump on it, you know, because they're just so good. And you know, when they take a hit, they make it look very real, and they take the hits also. You know, and it's a trust thing. You know, you're not hitting them as hard as you can, but you're hitting them, and they flow with the movements. Well, a lot of times you work with people that you push them. They'll say, hey, don't push me so hard. Okay, stop that. You know, so it's a mixed bag.
Right, because you have some tough guys who are like, I like to fight. This is fun. And you have some people who are delicate and like, don't touch me. Like, that hurts.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Gosh. So then is there any, you know, this intricacy, this dance, this creative process where you coming up with the moves? Do you also, it's so nuanced because you have to work with the directors. So sometimes do they give you carte blanche, like be creative, or sometimes you've got directors like, I want this, and in your head you're like, but you're not a martial artist, like I can't do that. Like, how is that to work with, the creative process?
It's great because they've given me the great privilege of working kind of carte blanche. So, just do it, go ahead and do it, and we have, we work with you before, so we trust what you do. But then I do have other directors. I mean, and everybody has a vision. So you have a director that has a vision for a scene and they want to show this, that, and the other, because in a fight scene, it should never just be a fight scene.
Yeah.
The fight scene should tell a story. So from the beginning to through the end of that, in the middle, it's telling a story that kind of unveils and it unravels just in front of you, that it makes it much more meaningful. And so you have directors that have this vision of what they want. So they'll say, okay, include this, include that, include this, because they want it to progress in a certain way. And those are a little bit more challenging because, they'll say, okay, I want you to jump in the air, spin, kick a knife out of a guy's hand, have that knife fly through the air and stab this other guy while you take this other guy down. They'll do stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Just, can you just do this? Oh my gosh. And are you like, why, sure, I will? Or are you sometimes just like, who do you think I am?
Exactly. It's, and the stunts are practical. So in other words, we have no rigging, which would be like, things that lift us up off the ground. It's done, with our own natural ability. So, there's always a way. So there's always a way to make it happen, and and you're just there like this. Okay. They feed you the concept, and they feed you what they want. And you're like, all right, okay, got it. Okay. I know how to do it now.
Ooh.
Because that kind of becomes my job. My job becomes, the how. They have the vision. I have to provide the practical approach on how to do it. And that's how it works.
Fun. Well, I know that you have also worked on The Matrix, and people affiliate that with these amazing fight scenes. And can you tell me about that?
Well, I can't say too much about Matrix 4. I had the great privilege of working with Keanu Reeves on Matrix 4. They were filming down here in San Francisco, and I worked with him every day. And an amazing actor, an amazing human being, very professional, very approachable. We had some great scenes together. It's just one of those things where you have this opportunity to work with somebody who's been in the industry for decades now, and obviously he has a tremendous following, and it's just that next step of approaching things in my own personal career. But yeah, it was again, I can't say anything about Matrix 4, but I can say this: the fans of that genre are going to be absolutely amazed.
Ooh.
They're going to be amazed at the storyline, the content, the practical stunts that were done were incredible, and they pulled out all the Hollywood stunts out there. It was they used very little CGI. They're going to work on digital. It's going to happen, but you'd be amazed at how much of it was just practically done. And all I'm going to say is, for those that are fans, it's going to be amazing when it comes out.
Can you say this, your days when you're working on this caliber level film, are these long days? Does it take a lot out of you? Or you're a professional, you're a martial artist, like this is what you do?
Film days are usually pretty long. The average, you're given that it's always a 12-hour shoot day. So, and it's longer than 12 because, you know, there's an administrative part of it. You go in, you report in, you fill out all the paperwork that you need to for that day. You check in. You're checking in with makeup. You're checking in with the wardrobe. You're checking in with props. You know, so there's all these departments that you have to report to, and before you ever get actually on set and they start rolling camera. So, you know, the days are 12 to 16-hour days sometimes. Absolutely. Easy. And you shoot, you know, you shoot from, let's say, 3 p.m. to maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, so it's never a 9 to 5. You know, so anybody that ever wants to pursue this, just know that you're going to compromise sleep. You're going to compromise, personal convenience. You're going to compromise just so many things to be a part of this industry, because it's just so unconventional. You know, you film when people are asleep. You film when there's no traffic, you know, out. Those are the times that you film, you know, and I mean, it's hard work. You know, a lot of people, I think people think that it's a glamorous lifestyle. By no stretch of the imagination, it is. I've had a lot of hard jobs in my life, and I want to say this by far is one of the most challenging jobs I've ever had. You know, there's a lot that's expected of you, and when you're on. You've got to bring your A game. And when they go, okay, let's do another. Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. You've got to. It doesn't matter how tired you are. You got to make it look like you're just fresh and ready to go. So that's where all the prep work comes in. You get all this prep work that gets you to the point where that you can do that.
Yeah. So that's interesting because, you know, this is the top level. It's not the little leagues. This is the majors. And so how do you, over and over, you draw from some strength, this mind over body? Like, how do you bring joy and make it fresh when it's 5 a.m. and you're on like your 16th hour? Like, how do you do that?
You know, it's funny. Coffee does the trick sometimes.
Simple things.
Yeah, it's. I don't drink coffee on a regular basis. I actually don't drink coffee. So, I mean, I will go into Starbucks maybe 3 times a year, 4 times a year. Seriously, because I don't drink coffee. But when I'm on set, I drink coffee. So it gives you that little boost. Yeah, for me, because I've got a kind of energetic personality as it is, so I don't really need a lot of caffeine to aid to that. But when you're on set, you've got to look alive, and you got to look like you're just really in the moment. So those are the times. And I love coffee. I grew up drinking coffee as a child, and I think I drank it so much as a child that I was so done by the time I hit teenage to adult years. Yeah, I was done with it. But yeah, that, and just it's a professional set, you know, so it's a job, you know, and you're contracted to do your job, your piece of it, and they expect for you to be, you know, the professional. They expect you to bring that A game. They expect for you to you know, always be open for change, you know, because it may say something like this on the script, say, okay, you can do this, this, and this, and this. And the director will go, you know what? Hey, you know what? Hold on here. I got an idea. Let's change that, you know, exactly. And you're ready for just that. So you have to be open for, you know, for just any kind of change. You've got to be able to mold with that.
And do you feel like, you know, when you're on the Matrix 4 and you're with Keanu Reeves and, you know, you are working with other professionals, does it help that you're in this environment? So everybody's bringing their A game and everybody is putting in, you know, their best effort because they want to do a good job. And then for you, this is what you do, martial arts. So you're invested. Is there an element of that?
Oh yeah, always. You know, you want to represent yourself well, but at the same time, so you want to make sure that you, at the end of the day, that you feel proud of the work that you did. But it is a team effort. You know, and I know that sounds cliche to say, but it doesn't work unless it is. So all the components have to fit, you know, nicely together, and everybody that's on set has to just be in the moment. You know, they can't be on their phone. Well, you're not allowed to be on your phone. You got to be in the moment. So you have all this process that you got some peer pressure there because everybody else is doing it, so you better do it yourself. I've seen people walk off set. I've seen them walked off set where they maybe jumped on their phone, or maybe they were, were going against some of the rules that we have on set, and they have a no tolerance level. They'll say, "That guy over there, get him out of here." So when you see that right in front of you, you make sure that you do what they want you to do.
So the standards are sky high, and you're working with the best, talented, and then you yourself, you're like, I'm bringing my A game.
Oh, totally. Yeah. You know, you have to, because you know, it's just your pride helps you with that. You know, because you're saying, okay, I've trained for this, I've worked for this, I've studied, I got this down. Okay, I'm going to give them my best. You know, and like I said, you know, just you want to do it for the project, because you got to. Because, you know, your piece, my piece, is such a small little piece of this whole incredible life that takes a life of its own. But it's just like anything. It's just like a spark plug in a car. You know, you remove it, then the car doesn't work very well. So it really takes everybody's parts and pieces to make it work. And you got to be on, and you're not always on. Sometimes you're off. Sometimes you're off. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you're just off.
Yeah. You know, I love it because this whole field of martial arts, it's this mind, body, spirit. There's this teamwork element. There's this pride in your work. It's very involved. It is not simple, and it's very beautiful.
You know, it is. I'm martial arts has been a part of this process forever, because it has established the tools that are needed to really do anything in life. You know, because it helps you organize your life, and it helps you one of the main things that it does, it helps you adapt to a changing environment. That's what it does. So in other words, you know, if an animal does not evolve and change with the changing environment, it becomes extinct. It's just gone. If it just says, well, this is the way I am, and this is what I do, and there's nothing's going to change me, while everything around them is changing, those soon perish. You know, us, nothing. We wake up in the morning, even though it feels like we're repeating the same thing day after day, we're not. It's different. It's a slightly different take, and you've got to be ready for the unexpected, because that's what life is about. You know, life is not scripted, and life is always coming at you in all the different ways, all the different wonderful ways it can come at you.
That's life, man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So martial arts has been there. It's been a resource for me, and you know, it's taught me. You know, I'm the training in terms of acting that I do is a method acting. It's a Stanislavski. I'm throwing a big word at you. Stanislavski method acting that I do, and so that's what I'm trained in. And it's to bring kind of truthfulness into a scene. It's to bring a genuine emotions and genuine. And what you do essentially is, whatever the scene is, you just recall from your personal history and bring that emotion into that scene, and then it becomes it. And you're not. It's a lot less acting that you're doing. You know, it's more of a reaction to what's happening in a given scene. But martial arts helps to helps to organize that too.
Yeah, no, I love it. You know, you said that martial arts has been there for you in really personal ways. And can you speak to that? You know, I know that it's personal, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah. It sometimes, sometimes it's very difficult to reveal. It just is. Everybody, has their own personal history. And there are things in life that happen kind of unconventionally, untraditionally, and I lost my best friend. My best friend was killed, and um, when I was a teenager. So
Yeah,
so here's my best friend, whom we're inseparable, and we just meet up every day after school, hang out and just do whatever teenagers do. Um, and then I receive a call one day saying that he got into this horrific accident.
yeah.
And I remember that because it was a nurse that actually contacted me and said, could you please come to the hospital and say goodbye because he's not going to make it. So it's those situations. It's a family member who took his life. My father took his life. When I was young. I've lost a child. I've lost a daughter.
Yeah.
Um, so you're talking about events that took place in your life that aren't really meant to happen
Yeah.
in that way. And you can you're always coping with it. And the one thing that I found out through this process, and martial arts has been there for me most certainly, because it helps to establish a sense of purpose. It
Mm.
establishes a sense of purpose. It establishes that that by helping others you help yourself. But you learn from the experiences. And what I learned is that you can't change the events in your life. You can change your perspective on
Mm.
those events in your life, and you can choose to learn from them and extract, even how, no matter how horrific the situation is, you can extract good out of it, and apply that to yourself.
Wow.
And and martial arts has helped me to achieve that, because it's provided me tools by which I can do that. Because when you think in terms of martial arts, and like we talked about, the most practical sense is when somebody's threatening to kill you, and you know that your life can be gone, in a moment. It puts things in perspective in life. It really does. You learn to appreciate life in general. You really learn to you know not be overwhelmed by just little things in your life that just are annoying, and kind of, whatever, just you just kind of brush it off, and just really focus on things that bring you joy, and I mean, we're all going to go through things and we have to express them, and we all have people in our lives that just kind of piss us off. It just happens, you know something they said, something they did, they would just, come on, really, you did that? And my teacher really taught me something. you know um my teacher said, you know what, John, the next time somebody really irritates you, they did something that just really went against your
Yeah.
your moral code, do this. He goes, take a deep breath, count to 10,
Mm.
and when you're finished counting, kill him. Just kill him. Now, Okay.
Okay, John,
Yeah.
let's take a deep breath.
So let me explain.
Okay, because I'm a therapist and I do pretty interesting things and I am rarely thrown. But you just completely freaked me out. All right, sure. Keep going.
So then he explained himself, and he said, you know what, in life, you're gonna feel certain ways, and there are people or situations in life that is just gonna make you feel just ultimately angry, ultimately upset, ultimately sorrow. But if somebody just pisses you off, everybody, we fantasize about how we chew them out. We fantasize about next time we see them, we're just gonna tear them apart. We fantasize about those things.
Yeah.
He says it's healthy to release it in that way. Fantasize, just get it out of your system. He goes, don't do it, because he goes there are laws against that stuff. Exactly, it's against the law. Don't actually do it, but express it in that way. That way you express the feelings. You're expressing those emotions. And in some ways you're emptying that negative kind of jar that you have. You just kind of express it in that way. So yeah, that's just kill them.
And John, I rarely thrown. You caught me in a live recording and you have completely blown my mind. Absolutely love it. I think it is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Or instructor, master. So I have one last question for you.
Yes.
John, what makes you feel alive?
Wow, so many things. I mean, it's not ever any one thing. It isn't. I mean, it's a lot of things. Every morning, I take my cat out for a walk every single morning. And I actually have my cat leash trained. So she has so here's this guy, this tough martial artist. I'm walking my cat in the neighborhood with a leash.
Guinness World Record holder.
Exactly.
But the thing, when you're confident, you can do what you want.
Oh, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You're right. And I live in an area where there's a lot of, just beautiful landscaping, and we have deer, where we're at, and so the deer get close to her. So you're kind of interacting with nature and that sort of thing. So that stuff, everything from that to working with a student that has had a very difficult time understanding, what you're trying to convey, and then they get it.
Wow.
And then they get it, and then they change and they move on, and you're so happy for them, and you feel such an empathy towards it, because you feel those emotions, you feel their emotions, and that brings you alive. So it's kind of it's a mixed bag. There's many. I mean, and just I'm always having to watch how I eat and to prepare for my next role. So I'm going through a tremendous amount of training, and I've got to look a certain way. I'll have to take my shirt off for certain scenes and stuff like that. But just that one day, and I love donuts. One day I get a chance to just bite into a donut, just like, oh yes, score. Yeah.
I can relate. You and I, me with my white belt from 30 years ago, and you with your, master status, but I can relate to that. Yes, donuts.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, John, I love your story, and
thank you.
Provided some amazing insights, and I thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having this wonderful platform to share.
Thank you to Kate Wolfer for technical advice and Linroy Palmer Coleman for music.